Right, how's it going, guys? I've got to say, this story we have here made me feel all warm and fuzzy inside. It seems the Defund the BBC campaign is being felt in real terms by the Britain bashing corporation. This is something we are likely to see more of in the lead up to the licence fee being abolished, because families refusing to pay are already costing it a fortune. Reports out today claim nearly 250,000 families have refused to pay the licence fee compared to last year, making the BBC £40 million out of pocket from that alone, as the Express headlines here. But that is not all, because when everything is factored in, the BBC has actually lost £170 million over the past year alone, due to people obviously defunding the BBC and the government removing its extra funding, so it's good news all round. The Express article says, disaster for BBC as 237,000 families stop paying licence fee, costing £40 million. The BBC has lost nearly £40 million in income as 237,000 less households are paying the licence fee than did last year, because obviously people are waking up to the biased nonsense that comes out of the BBC, and when you factor in the crap that their stars come out with, such as Gary Lineker, Emily Maitpiss and the rest of them, I'm surprised it's only 237,000. It could easily have been 1 million or more in my opinion, and maybe by this time next year we might be reporting that 1 million or more people have actually started defunding the BBC. Let's see how long they keep up Gary Lineker and Zoe Ball's £1.3 million contracts after that starts occurring. Now, for any of my American viewers or those who don't know about the licence fee, in order to watch or record live television in the UK, each household needs to pay a £157.50 TV licence. So, depending on exchange rate, about 180 or 190 American dollars a year. It continues though. However, there is speculation an increasing number of families are instead spending the money on streaming services like Netflix and Amazon. Which, yeah, the speculation about Netflix might be slowing down, you might be running off old news there. From what I have seen, a shitload of people have been cancelling their Netflix subscription, obviously because of cuties, and I really don't blame them. Overall, the BBC's licence fee revenue fell by £170 million in the past year, as the government also cut support used to provide free licences to those aged over 75, which, as we know and I covered at the time, the BBC spent £38 million on trying to chase them down, which obviously it's currently trying to do. And I'm sure I see a report the other day that they even get salty that they've now got to do this, showing how disconnected they are from the public and public opinion on this matter, because everyone supports the idea that the BBC should pay this. They did a deal with the government that allowed them to raise licence fees year on year if they guaranteed to cover the 75-year-old's free licence. They have now backed out on that, so the government should just end them now, but obviously Boris Johnson is too weak to actually do it. The BBC is struggling in particular with young people who the report found watch nearly as much content on YouTube as produced by the corporation, which I really find that hard to believe. I don't know who you've been asking, but most young people I know don't watch the BBC at all unless they walk past the TV screen with it on. Currently, the average person aged between 16 and 34 watches just 7.5 hours of BBC content, a figure significantly lower than for older age groups. Overall, the proportion of the country that watches BBC One at least once a week fell from 68% to 65%. Now, I would really love to know where they are getting these figures from. Are they like their opinion polls for elections, where they've asked like 1,000 people and then they will base that around everyone? Because I'm sorry to say, that really doesn't work. BBC Two also suffered a decline from 42.9% to 41.9%, which I'm sure if you actually looked at it, the BBC as a whole has probably suffered a massive decline. These are just the little individual points from that number. The only BBC channels which succeeded in increasing their audience were BBC News and BBC Parliament, likely related to last year's drama around Brexit. Yeah, because everyone hoped the BBC would be impartial on it, but that was never the case. The only day the BBC was actually generally impartial that I can remember was the 12th of December last year, because it's enshrined in law that they cannot talk about anything political or appear to take a political side. At the time, I had the slightest hope that the BBC were going to change and become more patriotic again, but obviously time has told us that was never going to happen. It continues, the report explained, young adults watch 11 hours a week on all TV channels, on average decreasing around 75 minutes year on year. In contrast, the time they spent using TV set for subscription video on demand, gaming, YouTube and other purposes increased, up to around 40 minutes per week, just over 9 hours weekly on average, which let me tell you, I bet it's more than 9 hours weekly on average. As I've said before, I'd really love to know where they're getting these figures from, when I base it around people I know and what they've been able to do this year, which let's be honest is not a lot. They are spending a hell of a lot of time watching TV. Just clearly not the BBC. Whilst BBC revenue fell, the number of senior managers employed by the BBC rose by 3 to 153, because much like Sadiq Khan, the BBC are always spending our money. In total, 106 of these earn more than 150 grand per year, giving them a higher pay than the Prime Minister. Which, to be honest, really doesn't surprise me. If Gary Lineker was up there, he would be on 1.7 million. Another 76 BBC presenters and personalities also earn more than Boris Johnson. Last year, Tim Davie, the incoming BBC Director General, earned 642 grand a year as head of the BBC Studios, which I'm sure, if memory serves, is actually BBC's commercial arm, so I'm surprised that we found out how much he earned. They don't usually release them figures. Unlike most BBC roles, BBC Studios is not funded by licence fee payments, and Mr Davie has agreed to take a pay cut in his new position. Good for him, don't really care about that. He needs to sort out the shit show that is the BBC and hurry up and take it down the pan. In a statement, the BBC said some measures are not going in the right direction. Headcount has increased from 19,231 to 19,572, and senior leaders' numbers have gone up from 250 to 253, which, in my opinion, is it going in the right direction. The more people they employ, the harder the fall will be, the more I will laugh and fucking love it. It continues, as the new Director General has said, the BBC will keep a focus on cost reduction so that the public service headcount is smaller. Yeah, well, he seems to be doing a great job on that so far. You seem to be employing more and more lefty tosspots. The BBC also has to do more to better serve and reflect all licence fee payers. It is critical that the BBC gets this right. Let me tell you something, it's far too late for that. You are not going to win back most of the people who now despise you. When you rile against Britain like the Labour Party, the unpatriotic fuckpigs that they are, the people of this country rightly hate you. And shit, I expect people who are not even from the UK hate you just as much. Go and take a look at the comments on any Vera Lynn's Land of Hope and Glory and see all the people from many different nations that support us against the BBC and its cancellation of our history. Which is rather embarrassing when you think about it, that foreign nationals are actually more patriotic to Great Britain than the BBC and most political parties. Which is probably why it goes on to talk about the Defund the BBC campaign. It says, earlier this year, the Defund the BBC was launched a campaign for the decriminalisation of TV licence non-payment. The group has since picked up 95,000 followers on Twitter. Reacting to the news, Rebecca Ryan, Defund the BBC's campaign director, commented, whilst the BBC rinses cash-strapped Brits, the rich are getting richer. Well, I'm sorry to tell you, that's kind of the way the world works. We got 650 MPs fleecing the fuck out of us as it is. The BBC are probably the least of our worries about them getting rich. Our problem is paying for their buy is bullshit, and as the Defund the BBC campaign says, being forced to do it. The BBC have extracted much of this money from licence fee payers under the threat of harassment and prosecution. It is unacceptable that the corporation sees fit to pay huge salaries. In the current climate, with so many people furloughed or facing redundancy or their businesses closing, it's a kick in the teeth to see the BBC being shown as such largesse, which to be honest is kind of the least of our problems right now. Fuck the amount they're getting paid, I don't see why they're not calling out the government for the bullshit that we have been seeing all year. Instead, they sit there screaming and shouting about shit that we don't care about, stuck in their metropolitan London bubble. Now guys, like I said at the start of this video, it is actually really good news that we are seeing this. 237,000 families stopped paying a licence fee since last year is an amazing result. Like I said, hopefully next year or the year after, that number will be up in the millions.
There is a pattern consistent throughout history of oppressed people turning on the oppressors. Slaves against their owners, the peasantry against the feudal barons, colonies, Mr. Verhofstadt, against their empires. And that is why Britain is leaving. and it doesn't matter which language you use, we are going and we are glad to be going. We're off.